the Lionheart Regulus. Let's check it out.
Today we're taking a look at the Lionheart Regulus, and there are some unique features about this firearm that I've not seen with any other. But this has a very rich heritage. Starting out in Korea, produced by Daewoo Industries, which produces firearms for the Korean military. In fact, the K5 is their issued military sidearm and has been since 1989. It was imported into the U.S. as the DP51. And then they started producing firearms here in the U.S. as the Lionheart LH9. Very well-made firearm. I mean, this is a really quality firearm. To me, honestly, it kind of reminds me somewhat of the SIG P226. It's a double action, single action, but it has what they call the double action plus, and we'll look at that in a minute, which is really unique. And then it changed hands and became the Lionheart Regulus, and there's a lot of upgrades over the original LH9 and the DP51. But it still retains all the same parts of the original pistol. It's just a lot of upgrades to make this more of a concealed carry option for the civilian market. Now, one of the big features is the double action plus, and you can rack your slide, the hammer comes back. You can take that hammer and push it forward, and now the mainspring is cocked. And so it has a really light single action pull, and so you have a consistent trigger pull with every pull. So we're going to take a good look at the Regulus, and this is the beta version, which is the compact. They also make the Alpha, which is a full-size pistol. Now, this is a loaner from a good friend of mine, John, who is also a Patreon member, and I really appreciate him letting me borrow this pistol for the review. Now, the upgrades made from the Daewoo K5 pistol or the DP51, which was imported into the U.S. There were a lot of upgrades, and one was an accessory rail, one was a number of different slide cuts and different things to the pistol to just make it more civilian friendly, consumer friendly. More of a concealed carry piece. Now, these were actually assembled in Renton, Washington. The parts were still being made in Korea. Once the new owners bought it, they began to produce the Regulus, and then they moved the facility to Winder, Georgia. Now, this pistol is actually a Renton, Washington pistol that was made in Washington, but the company now is in Winder, Georgia. Now, one of the things about this, there were a lot of upgrades made with the Regulus over the LH9. But let's go ahead and safety check the pistol. We're going to drop our magazine. Now, this one has a 10-round magazine, but of course they have the 18-round magazines. Check the chamber, and the gun is empty. One of the things about these magazines is the Smith & Wesson Model 59 series magazines will fit in the Regulus. They will stick out just a little bit, but you can use those. And so one of the big things about this pistol, though, is because it is a double single action pistol, but it has the double action plus system, is that when we take that hammer and we push it down, now we have a cocked mainspring, and so this gun is pre-cocked. And so when I pull this trigger, and I want you to notice that when you pull it, there's a little bit of just some resistance right here, and it's not much, but it just lets you know that you hit that wall and now you're ready to fire. And so as we fire the pistol, it's a very light trigger pull. In fact, it's the same trigger pull that it is in single action. And so again, that gives you a very consistent pull. With double action, typically that first pull, and this will shoot in double action, it's a very heavy, long, but very smooth trigger pull. and then subsequent shots are going to be real quick. And so that really can throw people off until they get used to that double single action. But with this, you can go ahead and drop your hammer with the double action plus, and so it makes it a lot more consistent. Now, one pistol that really kind of mimics that same kind of theory is the HK P30, but this is the LEM trigger. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, and the gun's unloaded. Now, one of the things about the LEM trigger is that it's actually pre-cocked. You can see how much free play this has. There's hardly any resistance whatsoever. And then once it gets back to here, then you fire the pistol. When the gun racks, the hammer is in the rear position, and it fires just like, again, very similar to the Regulus. And honestly, this LEM trigger in this P30 is, I love it. They do have the standard that will shoot double single action with the frame safety, but this is my preferred way with the P30. And you're getting that same kind of action with the Regulus. Now here with this Beretta M9a3, or it's very similar to the M9 or the Beretta 92. This is a double single action pistol. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the magazine, check the chamber. Now, one of the things about this pistol is that we have a decocker. So I drop the hammer, put it back to fire. Now, if I load a round in the chamber and I have my magazine full, that first shot is going to be long and heavy. And then subsequent shots are going to be short and single action. And so that's the way typical double single actions function. But again, with this and with the P30, you have a pre-cocked pistol, and so it's going to give you, again, more consistent trigger pull. Now, with a lot of these double single action pistols, they do have the decocker, and you'll notice that this only has the safety. And so once you engage your safety, it's a dead trigger. And then, of course, you can drop it, and now you're ready to fire. But it does not have the decocker. It also has G10 Scales. Now, there are different colors you can get, but this is the black. They're very well textured. The back has this X texturing, which really gives you great traction on this grip. And on the front, same thing on the front. Now, you can see a little bit of wear right here with the Cerakote, which happens from time to time, and this was done before I got it. But the Cerakote finish is really nice. But this really gives you a good feel, and yet there's hardly any abrasion. And so it's going to allow your hand to kind of lock in. I think the originals had just straight serrations, which really don't help with the recoil of the firearm. And so these are really well done, very well thought out, and something you don't typically see. Of course, it has a nice beaver tail, so it's going to give you protection from hammer bite or slide bite. We have our slide stop here, and then we have our 3-slot Picatinny rail. And then, of course, we have the trigger guard comes down. It's kind of angled down. It's not really squared off, but it's really large for gloved hands. You have front and rear cocking serrations. The sights are actually Novak sights in the rear, and they're dovetail cut for your 1911. So any of your 1911 dovetail sights will fit in the Regulus. And then we have this texturing along the top, and we even have some serrations here as well. But a very beautifully engraved gun. I mean, the machining on here is just excellent. Now, it does have this little memory pad, and it's just a small little cavity. But it does allow you to have a memory pad to put your finger to keep it out of the trigger, but also when you're firing the gun, you can actually rest it on a little bit of that lip with your thumb against the frame, which helps with felt recoil. The mag release is really small, but it just pops those magazines out without any trouble. You do have a divot or a little cut right here in the grip to allow you to get to that magazine release. And again, it can be switched to the other side. And one of the ways you can tell right off is that it has cuts on both sides of the magazine. Here we have a little bit of a funnel, just a little bevel on the magazine. But to be honest with you, I mean, your magazines are already tapered, and so it makes it really easy to get those magazines in there. Now again, we have that hammer in the rear position. We just pop it. You can watch the trigger go forward, and now it is pre-cocked. Because of that longer trigger pull, you really don't have to engage your safety unless you just want to engage your safety. But again, it's a really nice trigger pull. You hit a definite wall, and then it has a nice break. It's not super crisp, but it's really nice. One thing you'll also notice is that when the hammer is in the rear position and you move it forward, you have green luminescent little bars right down here to let you know that the gun is pre-cocked and it's loaded. One of the things about it, when you fire the pistol, those green bars disappear. Now this has a 3.7-inch barrel. It's 4140 steel. The stainless steel slide is 416 stainless. And the frame is 7075 T6 aluminum, which is a high-grade aluminum. The barrel is cold hammer forged as well, which is going to give it really long life. But also, this is called the true axis barrel. And the lockup with the slide to barrel has been really fit tight, so it allows for better accuracy, but then with that barrel, it's going to give you a really long life as well. These guns are actually just made for combat, and now they've been just changed a little bit with some of the cosmetics to make it more friendly again for concealed carry. But the original DP51 has really proven itself in a lot of conflicts all over the world. Now, while we have a 10-round magazine in here, that is not what typically comes with these pistols. You usually get 2 of your 18-round magazines. So you're going to have a full grip on this pistol, and then you're going to have the shorter slide. But again, this is the compact model. With the Alpha, you have a little longer slide, a little longer grip, and it's more of a full-size gun. And the Alpha's barrel is 4.1 inches, and then they have the Combat model, which is even larger, and it has a 4.7-inch barrel. But the Combat also has suppressor height sights, and it has a threaded barrel, and it has a sand color Cerakote. Right here on the frame, Regulus, Beta, and then it says short, and this is for the shorter slide. And that front sight is a tritium sight with a white outline, and then you have just the blacked out rear. We're going to look a little closer at the trigger action. So let's go ahead and we're going to drop our hammer. And you saw that the trigger did move forward. You have this little bit of resistance, and it's very light, and then it kind of pops over that resistance, and then you come to a definite wall right here. So there's a little bit of free play right here. And once you hit this, again, it's very little resistance once you hit the brake. Reset right there. Not a bad reset for a double single action pistol. Now, when the hammer's down after you fired the pistol and you have double action, and to be honest with you, the only time you're going to ever need that is if for second strike capability. Let's say you have a round that just doesn't go off and you want to get that second strike to see if the primer will ignite. We have a really heavy, long trigger pull, and it's heavy, but it's really smooth. Let's check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. We're going to try it in single action. 5 pounds, 7.9 ounces. 5 pounds, 14.2 ounces. Now let's try it with the hammer pushed forward in the double action plus. As I'm having a little trouble getting past the bump, there it goes. 4 pounds, 12.3 ounces. And I think part of that is just getting over that hump and then hitting the trigger, and so it's making it a little difficult to get that. But it's really pretty consistent with the original single action trigger pull. Now we're going to try double action. £10, 2.2 ounces, and that doesn't surprise me. Weight on the Regulus Beta with the 18-round magazine. 1 pound, 11.8 ounces. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA. One of the largest suppliers of ammunition in the country. Also, we love our Lula loaders, saving our thumbs. Yeah, that first pull with the hammer down, you don't even know it.
Yeah.
You don't know that it's not like a double action trigger pull.
Mm-mm.
It's such an unusual gun, but safety is different. But you just take that hammer and you push it forward, and then it's not like you're pulling that through.
Right.
It just comes back.
Yeah, it just disengages it entirely.
Similar to the LEM trigger on the HK.
Yep.
so far, I like that. I like it.
And we got down to the range, and I was really interested to see how the Double Action Plus would really work. I mean, we tested it on the table, we checked it out, but one of the things about this is if you shoot this in double action and you pull that trigger, I mean, it is a long, heavy trigger pull, which is typical for most of your double action pistols. And it's one of the reasons why you don't really need a safety with a double action pistol. Most have decockers, but this one doesn't. And so when you rack that slide and the hammer comes to the rear position, you can just go ahead and drop that hammer. And then when you fire, it gets to the single action because honestly it's just pre-cocked. And so then you pull the trigger, and then subsequent rounds have that hammer in the rear position. So it's a very consistent line of shooting, you know, from the first to the last. One of the big things about a double action trigger pull is you pull it through and it's heavy and you hit it, and then the next shot is like really fast. And so a lot of times people, they don't really control the firearm. It makes it a very nice option for those who really like a hammer-fired pistol. In a world of striker-fire pistols, it's one of the big appeals is it's consistent all the way through, and this brings consistency to the firearm. It has a nice texturing on the grip. I love that front and back strap. There's something about it to where when you're firing it and it recoils, it just seems to grip to the right places. And really, I like the pad on the front because you can, even though it's not even hardly a ledge at all, it does give your finger just a place to rest on the frame. So while you're firing it, it gives you a little more leverage to the gun. Of course, a lot of times with those rear safeties, you can put your thumb over it, and then that allows you to be able to shoot it again. So it gives you a lot of leverage points to the firearm, which allow you to shoot very flat and to get those second and third follow-up shots. The sights are dovetailed for 1911, so you have a lot of options. Of course, it does have a 17-round mag capacity, which makes it nice, but you can drop it down to that 10-round magazine if you want, and they do come with 10-round magazines. Now, we did have a couple of malfunctions, and it was just failure to extract. But one of the things we noticed is we had a little debris behind the extractor, and once we cleaned that out, we didn't have any other issues with it. But we also shot about 500 rounds, and so we had a pretty good run with the pistol.
Now we're going to try disassembly. We're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, and it's empty. If you'll notice right here, there's a small little triangle, and you want to line it up with your takedown pin about right here. So we're going to put it like this. Now the little notch at the back or the little post is really small, and so typically you'll need a magazine to be able to function to get that out. It's not a lot of force, but it's just really small. There we go. It just pops it right out. Then you pull out your takedown pin and then just move your slide forward. We have our recoil spring, guide rod, and it is a dual spring system, and it is a metal guide rod. And then we have our barrel system, of course, very well done. I mean, it's a beautiful barrel. Has a little bit of a concave right here that comes down, which is typical for a lot of different double single action pistols. Here, the machining, very well done. Of course, this one's pretty dirty. We have shot quite a few rounds through this pistol. And then your double action, double single action design in here. Again, very typical, but very well done. And that's all you need to do to field strip for reassembly. I'm going to drop in our barrel, put in our recoil spring and guide rod. Now, one thing I did notice, and I heard this from another reviewer, the mainspring or the recoil spring doesn't really set a lot of tension against that little ledge. And so one of the things I've had to do is to bring this in and make sure that I retain the recoil spring where it is, which is a little bit different. Now when you bring your slide and you line up that triangle again, now you can drop in your takedown pin Just press it in, make sure that it's flush, and then let go. And we're back in business. Now the recoil spring not fitting in there didn't seem to affect reliability. And so I guess it's captured within the housing, but that is a little different. Each pistol comes with what they call their field kit. This is a really nice case. I mean, it is very well made. Nice Lionheart logo right here on the front. Great grab handles, box X stitching, and just a lot of padding in here as well. Inside we get two 18-round magazines, you get a cleaning brush, you get a cleaning rod, small little brush, you get your lock, a little bit of lube right here. You also get your owner's manual, and you get slots to put that in, and you have a slot here to put in your pistol. And it is really a nice bag. I mean, this is one that you'd really like to keep. Now the retail price on the Regulus is $999, and that is on the Beta Blackout model, and it's the same for the Alpha. When you get to the Combat, it does change, and of course market price is going to be less. As far as pros and cons, one of the big pros is if you like double single action, this is definitely a very innovative way to get consistency with your pistol. Very nice trigger pull, nice reset. I like the G10 grips. It gives you some different options if I want to change these out, if I want to do something just totally different. The texturing on the front and back strap, really well done, very functional. I really like this little memory pad area that's recessed because it does give you just a little bit to place that thumb and just a touch of a ledge. The frame safeties are definitely just a little different, but they're not bad. They're very intuitive, and if you're used to the 1911, I mean, that's the way you bring it down. Sight compatibility with your Novak sights and 1911 dovetails. Nice accessory rail, front and rear cocking serrations. You know, as far as cons go, I mean, it's definitely a little heavier because it is an all-metal pistol. Aluminum frame, and then your steel slide. Forged barrel is going to give you a lot of life. But if you really like double single action pistols, I mean, this is a really excellent choice. And because of that consistent trigger pull throughout, I mean, that's a huge plus. The price, it is a little pricier than some. But a lot of times when you get into the double single actions, it just costs more to produce. And really the quality and the fit and finish on these is excellent. These have definitely gained a huge reputation with the Korean military and then passing it on to the civilian. And so, you know, guys, if you're looking for something that's really unique in a lot of ways, and you want the safety of the double single action and with the frame safeties, I mean, this is going to be a great option.
So guys, if you like those double single action pistols, but that first round always gets you, this is a great option to be able to bypass that. I mean, with the hammer in the rear position, ready to fire, you can drop it down, and it's going to have a consistent trigger pull all the way through. And to me, that's really the best of both worlds between the striker fire, which are single action, and your double single actions, just like this. And so that first round, again, is consistent. It's a very well-made gun, and something that would be really easy to carry in this Beta, or if you want the full size, the Alpha is available. And again, I want to thank my good friend John for letting me borrow the Lionheart Regulus for this review. It's been a great experience. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Sootch00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. Beta size, but it also, did I not do the safety check? I haven't done the safety check. Now this Lionheart Regulus is a loaner from a good friend of mine, John. And we really appreciate John for, I mean, I have to say that, I've already said it, I've already said that.
Cocked striker or pre-cocked striker, or you have a pre-cocked.
But also the DP. The DP what? They made quite a few of these pistols, and, okay. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get it. This really cool firearm. That don't sound like smooth like butter.
It just has the, well, I didn't even do the safety check. What the freaking crap, dude? What the freaking crap?